We're watching every Adam Sandler film to see how they hold up. This week we watched Spaceman.
Spaceman is a Sandman sci-fi film about a lone cosmonaut traveling through the depths of space to potentially save the world. It explores loneliness, heartache, and a magical space spider that is both real and not real. Is anything even real? Definitely not Adam Sandler's confusing accent, that's for sure. The movie has a magical sense of depth that is explored in a really unique way and is one of Sandler's greater performances, despite what the critics had to say.
We play a game of bingo around here at the Sandpit. These are our bingo cards this week.
I scored bingo, baby.
Did you?
In Adam Sandler's newest film. I did.
I actually felt guilty playing bingo in this movie because it was so good, and this bingo game was devised for the shittier Hawaii movies of Adam Sandler. So to put it up against such a spectacle, such a dark drama, I felt wrong. I'll be honest, I felt wrong. One of my squares was Hot Wife, and Hot Wife is only funny when it's in movies like Grown Ups where he intentionally casts a supermodel. Whereas this one, it's a beautifully gorgeous woman, but she is more than a hot wife, and now I feel like an absolute sexist. So I almost didn't want to give myself the square.
No, as soon as the Carey Mulligan reveal happened, I was like, yep, hot wife, done. I also got that square.
You were going for bingo vengeance because you haven't had wins in a week. I haven't had a bingo win this week, which means, sir, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Well
I
done.
got it on the diagonal, so I got hot wife, and I also got a funny animal moment when the spider sneezes on Adam Sandler.
Of course.
And I also got Sandler screams when the film gets more devastating later on. He's screaming into space. Definitely not the bingo we thought we were gonna get, but a bingo nonetheless.
And a beautiful movie. Let's jump into the highlights and lowlights.
Right off the bat, in the opening credits, Max Richter as the composer of the film who made the soundtrack. I was like, oh, I'm in for a great film. I love Max's work on The Leftovers, and he's done some tracks that you've definitely heard in a lot of movies.
Dark, somber, ominous. It let the movie breathe. It didn't overwhelm the movie with score. And at times when it needed to build, holy smokes, did it give it to you. Beautiful.
But right off the bat as well, I had my only low light was at the start when he's up in the rims of Jupiter and he's doing a meeting with the space people back on Earth, and it's so exposition heavy. It's so spelt out. I was like, oh man, they're really shoving all this down my throat.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. The reason for this journey is right in front of me.
But to the film's credit, it meant they didn't have to slip that in for the rest of the film. But right off the bat, it was just a bit of a harsh dump.
They did do the harsh dump because the rest of the movie is barely about space, even though it completely takes place in space, but it's about something way more human, despite even interacting with aliens. My low light as well took place right at the start of the movie. Adam Sandler's accent.
Well, I am some 500 million kilometers away. And yes, this is a solo mission.
What was it?
It was confusing.
Supposed to be Czech? Was it supposed to be American? He would just slip out of the old Adam Sandler, like the old ramble, and then occasionally he'd go, yes, we think this is very good, and then just go back to being Sandman.
I chose to be ignorant on that one and just didn't let it get to me, but yeah.
But again, that was my only low light. This movie is, spoiler alert, a bloody masterpiece in my eyes, and it has so much profound knowledge and wisdom to impart. And I think we should jump into that.
Yeah.
So the movie has this Truman Show-esque feel about it, and it kind of is delivered in the way of him reading these ad placements just in the middle of his voyage. It's kind of funny, and it's kind of off-putting as well when is this lonely man voyaging through space, and he's got to do these bullshit upkeep things as well to keep people back at home happy.
Yeah, and it feels like he's like a puppet. He's not, he doesn't have like autonomy over himself in this spaceship. He's just on the mission doing what people have to say.
Yeah.
Until the introduction of the spider, voiced by Paul Dano, which was one of my first highlights, was just so epic. Like a huge spider going throughout his spaceship, voiced by the wonderful Paul Dano. It was such a delight to have that, and that's where most of my enjoyment.
So who voiced the spider?
Paul Dano.
You needn't worry. I experienced no pain in my encounter with Earth's cleaning agents.
It was fantastic and such a weird introduction. You didn't see it coming, and when it does, it is beautiful. And it really draws parallels to another movie that's one of my favorites in a book. It's called A Monster Calls. I don't know if you've seen it before.
No.
It's about a kid who needs to deal with his grief, and that happens through this monster calling to him in the dead of the night and forcing him to talk about his mother. And this was really similar in that this spider was really just sent there to get Adam Sandler to deal with his bullshit back at home with his wife.
I have to leave you. I'm so sorry. It has to be now, but...
His character's a married man, so is the Sandman.
But it was like a horror when the spider rocked up.
Yeah.
Like, it was actually very scary. And I was like kind of covering my eyes, but it was so compelling. I loved that part.
And I was thinking, how are they going to make a whole movie out of this about him just going through his problems? But by George, they do it in this fantastic way. And even though he's going through the depths of space to find this mysterious rift in the sky, it is so much more than that. It's just a beautiful vessel to take us on this journey of him coming to terms with his wife that wants to leave him, and him just not dealing with the fact that he's completely abandoned his wife on Earth. And they had, and this was in a highlight section for me, and it got quite deep for me sitting on the couch late at night while my beautiful girlfriend Tara was nursing at work. Is we always talk to each other about wherever you go, I go. Because for me, as a musician, that's my career is starting to happen. More and more this talks about me potentially going on tours and not right now at this stage that I'm at, but maybe touring with others, you know, being the support act. And Tara and I always talk about wherever you go, I go. And that was a big thing that was addressed in this movie. Wherever you go, I go. And he lies to his wife because he goes on a spaceship by himself for, you know, a year without her. And she's pregnant at the time. And you start to see more and more of this relationship take place, but it felt so targeted and so profound with me and what I'm going through right now with this whole idea of wanting to bring my partner everywhere I go, and then watching this man not and fail on that promise.
And I love how sci-fi can do that. Sci-fi can speak to like the most human problems despite being set in the middle of space.
Arrival's another great one.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very similar in the sense of Arrival, where it's really personal to the protagonist, and it's about their memory and the way they see the world, and also very Interstellar in the whole sentiment of love transcending time and space. It's a very beautiful addition to those sorts of films, and very much stands on its own.
And stands with those giants of films like Arrival, Interstellar, are megalodons. and you know what? I'm gonna say it. Spaceman has swum its way up like a little Jaws, and it's swimming with the pack. Is it a pack of sharks? Is that how that works?
Sure. A huge highlight for me was this exploration of memory and emotions and feelings in the past. Was just done really well. Like the way they deliver dialogue and sound mix, it all serves this really like precious feeling that this movie carries.
And we get trickled these events as Paul Dano's spider just jerks it. Nope. As Paul Dano's spider finally starts to uncover the truths from Adam Sandler's character. He starts to get the truths out, and we start getting him in this beautiful stylistic way that Joel's painting here. And again, these profound moments come out, whether it was from Paul Dano's spider.
You have many boundaries, skinny human. Perhaps they are the cause of your loneliness.
And that is the major address, really, of Adam Sandler's problems, is just how high-strung he is as a character in this movie. And when we say Adam Sandler, we mean his character, but who's going to remember the name? Not this guy.
Jakob.
Another one that, again, felt like a personal attack to me in profound moments was his wife that said he's very ambitious, and I was wrong about loving that.
Yeah, wow.
And that, again, hurt my feelings, and maybe it hurt yours too, because we are ambitious people trying to juggle romance in our lives, as well as doing everything that we can to make our ambitions come to reality. And it's hard because you feel for Adam Sandler's character, you also hate him at times, and you feel for the wife more often than not.
It was so real when it was like, you can see Adam Sandler, like Carey Mulligan's character, taking interest in the Sandman, but then it's revealed like, oh, the Sandman really never made an effort to get to know her either. He was so focused on his ambitions that have now led him to the outskirts of Jupiter, where he no longer has that connection, and really, it's really broken down for him. Yeah,
and it really touches on a major theme in this movie, debunking the age-old adage, distance makes the heart grow fonder. It does not in this case, especially with all that's riding on their relationship of having children together together and him being completely absent from that in a really cruel way. And this was a low light for me, even though it is a highlight of cinema. It really made me hate Jakob, Adam Sandler's character. The wife has a miscarriage and he pretty much hangs up the phone on her to go back to doing his duties. And it was gut-wrenching to see that happen. And it made me despise him in that moment, really hate him. And you can't really call it a low light of the movie. I mean, it made me feel like shit, but it was brilliantly done.
Yeah, well, it completed like the painting of his character.
Yeah.
Like you see, we go into the past and see how he was like loved by his father, but his father was a terrible man and there was distance there and like everyone hated him back in the past, and his outlet was to run from it. Like he's been running from things all his life. He just doesn't know how to face things, and I think that's what the spider comes in and helps him understand.
Yeah. And me, was it just an impressive showcase of what Adam Sandler can do as an actor.
Yeah.
And there is silence, so what is the point? The silence is the point.
The silence is the point was just another way of conveying beautiful meaning in this. The silence of just communicating with each other by saying nothing but just spending time with one another was something that Sandler's character couldn't grasp. And all the wife wanted to do was just be with him, and that wasn't enough for him. And it almost seemed like a waste of time. And eventually that unravels in the end of the movie as the spider does his job and they form such a beautiful relationship.
That is probably one of my final highlights is just the relationship between Sandler and the spider. It's so gorgeous. And then, if you can't tell already, spoiler alert, but towards the end, the spider starts to reveal that he's passing away because like the things that invaded his planet are slowly killing him. And I started to cry when the spider gave Sandler a hug. I was like, that is such a beautiful, precious moment. Like he's just curled up on his torso. I'm like, that makes me want to hug spiders too.
Yeah. The way they managed to make a spider not cute, not Disney cute, but not really ugly, masterfully done by the CGI team, the VFX team.
Just like precious.
Really good. The relationship was so beautiful. And there was a pinnacle moment of Adam Sandler's performance and he's crying his eyes out. And you're just sitting there watching, thinking, where was this in The Cobbler? There were two moments in this movie that really put the cherry on top for me that were my ultimate highlights. And there was this quote.
And now I can't, for the life of me, understand why I kept leaving you behind. When you're the only thing that matters.
That was the full revelation to Sandler. That was what the spider was there for, was to make him realize what he's had and what he's been running away from, and the fact that there is no pursuit that'll ever be greater than the love he has at home. Which is kind of similar to Punch Drunk Love as well, that like love trumps all, it's similar themes.
Yeah.
And that was really beautiful. And then you get the final words of wisdom from Paul Dano's Spider.
Everything is permanent, yet nothing ever is. That is the truth of the universe.
And that happens is like the spider is fading away inside like the purple particle rift in the middle of the sky. It's gorgeous.
It's high concept, but delivered masterfully. It's got that interstellar feeling when he's finally at the end in that 5-dimension, whatever that was. This was like a bit more of a user-friendly version of that.
Yeah, and I love that it ends with the sentiment of like humans are looking out for each other because he's saved by the South Korean spaceship, which has been constantly framed as like the opposition in the film. Like, oh, I've got to get to the rift before South Korea. But then they're the ones who saved him. And I think that's really beautiful too.
And we find out what the rift in the sky is, but there's still so much mystery left on the table that doesn't need to be solved. I mean, if they make a Spaceman 2, I'll be so mad. But brilliant film, beautifully capped off. If you're happy to, Joel, I'm happy to get into ratings.
I'm happy to get into ratings too. This really surprised me. Like the way that it's been received online, I was expecting like a bit of a generic space flick, but no, I really enjoyed this. Like at some points it is simpler than your Interstellars and your Arrivals, but I just enjoyed how kind of like the quiet of it, the precious moments of it.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to give it a 7 out of 10.
Strong. I feel like it could be higher from you.
No,
you gave the last movie a 10, but that's all right.
You Punch Drunk Love, it's a different movie.
I give this a 9.
Wow.
This was exceptional for me. I do have a sci-fi bias.
You do.
But this was beautiful. I'm excited to see what we draw next.
Yeah. Oh my
Because
god.
this is going to be hard to top for me for the longest time.
I'm not sure if we've seen so many good now. I think we're in for the bad. Shake it for me, Mac.
Here you go, my friend.
Let's go.
Here's the pull. I'm so excited. What do we got?
We've got Sandy Wexler, 2017.
That's in the Sharehouse.
Sandy Wexler, huh? Well, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Make sure to tell someone you love them today.
Please tell us you love us.
Bye.